Hi everyone, my name is Jim Stabile. I'm the owner and creator of the Ergo 180 program you'll be using across the North Atlantic. This iPad app will display fuel range and distance, oxygen range and distance, and most importantly, it'll display airport and ships along your route of flight. The first short module will simply walk you through setting the program up prior to departure. Internet access is required, so prior to leaving internet range, you'll want to make sure that you have the most current up-to-date ship location before departure. So let's get started. Here we want to open the Ergo 180 app. That will bring us to our login page where you'll enter your user ID and your password, which we will supply a little bit later on. Next, you'll touch the login screen. And then next, we're going to want to look at the bottom of the screen here, and you're going to see a flashing menu icon, which we'll touch. And that will bring us over to a flashing manual input icon, which we'll also touch. And that'll open a data window in which we'll put information pertinent to our flight. So under tail number, everyone in the squadron will have the same tail number. It'll be DDay Squadron. Next, we're going to select the type of fuel that we'll be using. So today we're going to select avgas. And we're going to select how it's consumed. Here it'll be gallons per hour. Next, we're going to go ahead and enter our diversion airport. But today we're just going to start with our first leg. So we're going to enter our departure airport of Oxford, Connecticut. And our intended destination, which will be Goose Bay. Next, you can leave this blank if you don't have the data, but if you know what your engine out glide ratio is, your best L over D, you can enter that here. Today we'll just put in a 20-1, and then we're going to touch the confirm button. That'll bring us to another set of data, which will go in the top menu that you'll see above. Here we want to enter the total fuel on board for this leg. How much fuel is on board our aircraft? Here we're going to put in 800 gallons. And next it's going to ask us, what is our fuel flow? Today will be in gallons, so we'll put in 105. And next it's going to bring us to a speed. Without a speed, you'll get no solution. So we want to look at the app right now and use it in a pre-planning mode. Since the app is not sensing any airspeed, we're going to insert one manually. So we're going to touch the white entry window, and you'll see that ground speed has changed to true airspeed. And we're going to put in an average true airspeed to see how far we can go. In this case, we're going to put in 140 knots. And we're not going to enter any wind direction or wind speed at this time, and we'll just push confirm. Here, right now the iPad is sensing where I'm at in New Jersey, but it's also showing you your two diversion airports. It's also showing the fuel distance that you can travel based on that true airspeed and the amount on board in your fuel burn. So you can easily take a look at this app, and it will show that you have adequate fuel to go nonstop in a zero wind condition from New Jersey to Goose Bay. Next, we're going to want to take a look at some airports and ships. So let's go down to the bottom menu, and we're going to go all the way to the far lower right and push map options. And here we're going to look initially at our overlays on the far left. Right now we've entered data for fuel. There is a glide and an oxygen ring, okay, but they're missing some data, so they're not going to be displayed. And we are showing a distance information which we've just discussed. So first, we can select airports, and you can see there's plenty of airports. It makes the screen a little bit too busy, so let's get rid of the airports for now. And we're going to want to come down and we're going to want to select ships, but we want to select the correct region. So if we go to the lower part of this panel, we'll see North Atlantic. Let's touch that, and then we're going to select ships, and then we're going to hide this legend. And here you can see the ships along your route of flight. So this will be a great opportunity on your first leg of the journey up to Goose Bay to take a look and see what ships you can spot from the aircraft. You can touch on any of these icons and an information banner will appear. The first number that you're going to look at is the time that particular ship sent its location to the satellite system. So that was sent at 15:02 Zulu. It's a cargo ship. The name of the ship, latitude and longitude, and then finally the direction that the ship is traveling in and the velocity. And that basically concludes the initial startup for the Ergo 180 app. I think you will find it of great value, especially once you leave landfall overhead Goose Bay and start making your overwater flight. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. This next module, we're going to demonstrate how to enter the oxygen data. I think what we'll do is we're going to, each module will advance to the next airport, so you'll have a chance to see how the app is going to work on each leg. So right now we're in Goose Bay. And we're going to go ahead and enter the data like we did on the previous leg. We'll come up here from the top. Tail number, again, is going to be DDay Squadron. We're going to be using avgas. Fuel consumption will be in gallons. Our diversion airports, we are going to use Goose Bay. And Narsarsuaq in Greenland. We'll use our glide ratio of 20:1. And now we're going to come over here, and this is actually very simple. You want to come and look at what your oxygen PSI is on the gauge if you have oxygen. So let's say it's 1766 psi. You'll need to know the size of the cylinder, which will be stamped on it. You should be looking at 9 cubic feet, and this has to be entered in cubic feet. So 9 cubic feet, 11 cubic feet, 22, perhaps 50, maybe even more, depending on the size of the cylinder. But that has to be entered here. So we're going to use a standard 22 cubic foot bottle, and then you have to know what the flow rate is set to and multiply that number by the number of people on the system. And let's just pick a number. Well, let's say it's going to be 4.2 liters per minute, and then we're just going to touch confirm. And now we'll go through the process again of setting up our true airspeed, and we'll confirm that. And there we go. So looking at the app right now, we have plenty of fuel. Of course, we don't have plenty of oxygen. So these are things that we would look at ahead of time. Fuel, you have a distance of 1,066 nautical miles, and your oxygen, you only have 297 miles that you can travel based on that oxygen flow. And that is how the oxygen ring is set up. Very easy. Our next leg is going to be from Narsarsuaq to Reykjavik, Iceland. Now we're going to add a wing component, but we need to explain how the app is built. In flight, as long as the iPad is receiving GPS information, a GS or a ground speed will be available. The app automatically will calculate this function and display this value in the top right side of the menu bar. In this example, it's showing true airspeed, TAS, but in flight, as long as the iPad GPS is receiving a signal, ground speed, GS, will be displayed. Remember, anytime the iPad is not displaying all automatic inputs, a yellow triangle like the one you see in the right-hand corner here will alert the user that there's at least one manual input being used. And in this case, it's going to be TAS, or true airspeed. So, here we're set up, Narsarsuaq to Reykjavik. We're going to confirm our information. Now we're going to open the wind box by touching on the true airspeed in the top menu bar here. And now we're going to insert our winds in the appropriate box, and you'll see the distance circles will displace in accordance with the wind direction and the wind velocity. So in this example, let's put in 230 at 50 knots and confirm, and you'll see the wind circles skew towards the north since the winds are coming from the south. So right now our fuel distance is showing 1,056 miles. We'll touch confirm, and now with that additional 50 knots of tailwind, our fuel distance is 1,227 miles. So the user will also notice that the center of the circles will move away from the current aircraft position in the same direction that the wind is coming from. The pilot will be able to visually determine now if the fuel for this flight is critical. And as we can see, we have more than enough fuel, given the extra tailwind, to make our trip from Narsarsuaq to Reykjavik. So on our last leg of the trip from Reykjavik to Prestwick, Scotland, we're going to discuss some app nuances the user will need to know. First, it's important to note that Ergo 180, after the first time it's used and the internet is accessed, it can work offline and is independent of internet connectivity with the exception of ship download and display. In order for the ship location to be updated, a solution must be executed. One simple method is to complete the manual input data window that we've been filling in each time we use the app. So here we'll select menu. We'll open the manual input screen. And then we merely have to push the confirm button. It'll be necessary to go to the map options and recycle the ship selection off, then back on. We demonstrated earlier using Ergo 180 as a pre-planning tool, so the pilot will have improved situational awareness of the aircraft fuel and oxygen range rings based on tabulated information. The user can depart with the app in a manual operation. This will be recognized by the yellow triangle located in the top far right corner in the app window. Ergo 180 is programmed after reaching an elevation of 500 feet above GPS-sensed ground elevation for the total fuel to start counting down. So right now, before I change the altitude to initiate the fuel countdown, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change the flow rate to a higher flow rate, so you'll see the change happen a lot quicker. So we're going to replace 105 gallons per hour with 300 gallons per hour. And then we're going to open the altitude window. And we are going to change the GPS. And we're going to put in, let's say 1,000 feet. That'll be over 500 feet over the field elevation or the GPS elevation right now. We'll touch confirm. And now you can see the fuel starting to count down a bit faster. Since the app will only predict tabulated information, it'll be necessary for the user to update the total fuel and the fuel flow periodically in the same manner you would update any flight plan parameter. Once airborne, if the yellow triangle is present, you may have to touch the TAS, the true airspeed, on the top menu bar and switch on the use GPS, so the iPad will update the ground speed automatically. This is the preferred mode to use the app in. So we've just come up here, open the true airspeed window, and then we would select use GPS to on, and then push confirm. This will conclude our Ergo 180 tutorial. I hope you enjoy the app. Have a safe flight.